Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of the Up North Journal, live tonight, December 1st, Danny.
Welcome to December.
What the heck is that all about, man?
Time to put your Christmas tree up.
I did. My tree is up.
And so is everybody else posting on Facebook?
What's that?
Their trees are up.
Their trees are up? Yeah. Do you put yours up before Thanksgiving or after?
Sometimes we do it November 1st, but this year it went up yesterday and today. Today we got official.
Okay. It was officially finished today, huh?
Yes.
You gotta kill your audio there.
I just did.
All right. Let me do some quick sharing here, and we will get on with tonight's show. And, this is not working the way it's supposed to. Why not?
Well, I'm sure it's been done to help you out.
Here we go again with Facebook. There we go. It worked this time. Okay. Mr. Hoffman, what is going on? Hopefully everybody had a good turkey day. I know I devoured a turkey.
Yes, the turkey was devoured. No problem at all.
All was well here at the Adams household.
All was well at the Duval household.
So, although I did have to work. I worked Thursday evening and Friday evening.
Oh, okay.
But both were holidays, so cha-ching.
Right.
It was well worth it, so. About ready there?
Almost. One more.
Getting close. All right. One more to go.
Yeah, one more to go. Boom.
So, oh man, everybody's popping in all of a sudden here.
Everybody's home. There we go. Billy Hoffman.
Charles Byram. Looking trim there. Yeah. Dude, yeah, I don't know if you saw my post on Thanksgiving, but I couldn't make it to Planet Fitness. So I went out and did a little running so I could plan on fitting this turkey in my belly. Planet Fitness, plan on fitting this.
There you
See
go.
what I did there?
You did a fine job.
Yeah. No, man, I feel good. It's, we hadn't talked about it in a while, but hitting it hard and staying at it and planning on staying at it and hitting it real hard this week, getting ready for the elk hunt, which is coming up. So hopefully I won't need to run after an elk, but
no, if you could shoot it and drop it, that'd be
that would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. But you know what? Before we get into our wonderful show that we're going to have on December 1st, we probably should talk about some of our supporters.
Well, before you do that, why don't we just start the show?
Why don't we do that?
All right, here we go. Stand by. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal. Everybody, host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin. It's a little warm tonight. Dan, you look a little red there tonight. You got a glow to you.
You know, it kind of worried me there for a minute.
For those on the podcast, you can't see, but we've got a new piece of gear here in the cabin here.
Yes, a PSE lighted archery sign,
and it's glowing red.
Which we were getting warmed up here, and I looked in the screen. I'm like, man, I look really red, but I don't feel hot. Or I'm asking Mike, are my ears red? Am I okay? And he's looking at me, and then. Oh, it's the sign.
Yeah, it's a sign. It's casting a nice little glow on red there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it was like, holy crap. And got a nice PSE archery sign up there.
Yeah, sporting a new shirt, new hat.
There you go.
So, rocking on.
There you go. You are rocking on.
Rocking on with my PSE self.
There you go. Hey,
what?
How about some of our supporters?
Well, let's do it.
All right. For those of you out there, you want some discounts? We got some for you. Go on over to huntersblend.com, huntersblendcoffee.com. If you want 10% off, use the promo code under Mike's finger.
Right there.
Or on the podcast, you can use capital UNJ at checkout and get 10% off. But that's not it.
No, it's not.
No. Still time to get some cents out there. Go on over to Buck Baits. Use the promo code UpNorthJournal, and you'll get 20% off your order on checkout.
And for those of you who have taken a deer, maybe you got the turkey out this week. Hopefully you guys were using a little bit of Rebel 6 rubs. And Rebel 6, you can go over and save 20% on your order over there at rebel6rubs.com using the promo code North journal.
There you go.
So get over there and support the people who support us. And speaking of buck baits, I got my bottle of elk urine here, cow estrus. And even though we're hunting cows, they said to use this out in the field. And actually, one of their pro staffers here in Michigan, she is a elk guide.
Yes.
Jennifer Drake. And she uses this all the time, even on her cow hunts, and says it just helps settle them down, gets them, it makes them feel like they're right at home.
Right, exactly.
So,
and Billy Hoffman even commented on this, is they're getting snow up there in elk country.
Yes, they are, and I hope not too much.
Right, exactly, because walking through it could be fun.
It has me a little worried.
But using a sense like that, and like she said, it calms them down, and it kind of calms the woods down, because you being intrusive as you are.
I'm not intrusive. What do you mean I'm intrusive?
Well,
What's that supposed to mean?
Any human into the woods is intrusive, especially if you're toting a bow or gun.
Right.
Well, that's one of the things that we've been doing the last couple weeks is toting a firearm in this state.
Some of us more than others.
Yep, absolutely. Some have been getting out there. I was up. I had a day and a half of gun season. Mm-hmm. You had a few days.
A day and a half is all you had?
Of gun season, yeah. I did more.
Okay.
I did more. Bow.
That's right. Yeah, you were gone that whole week. I just assumed.
Right, exactly. But
so.
it worked out all right. It's fine. But you know what? And the weather's been kind of all over the board. I know up in the UP they've been getting blasted with snow now. I haven't talked with the boys since they were supposed to get back yesterday.
Okay.
And I haven't gotten the update. I know things were quiet this week up there.
Okay.
But I didn't talk to them after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I got to find out what's happening. They were supposed to get like 12 inches of snow on Wednesday.
Okay.
But it's Michigan for you.
That's right. Wait 5 minutes and it'll change.
Right.
Well,
like here, it was snowing this morning. Mm-hmm. It's kind of foggy out there right now.
Yeah.
So who knows if it goes to ice? I don't know what the low is tonight.
I don't know. Don't want to know. I don't want to deal with it.
Right, exactly.
So overall, good, bad, indifferent?
Interesting.
If you had to put a mark on Dan DeFaw's 2019, are we going to call it deer season? Or
Just go deer season.
Deer season in general?
My deer season was okay.
Okay.
My only thing that I'm not is I wish I could take does. I've said that a few times. Mm-hmm. That's my only G. If we could take does, it'd be a different story. But for seeing bucks, for seeing number of bucks, seeing a couple mature ones on camera that for us would be shooters, mm-hmm. I thought it ranks up there.
Okay.
For activity, it was it was interesting theater this year.
Okay. So,
you want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Oh, well, since we're talking about me,
go ahead.
We'll talk about me. But so I went up the week of the 15th, and we were going to do some crossbow hunting and end up with the rifle season. Mm-hmm. And up in the UP, we can bait, and got up there. It wasn't too bad. The weather was okay. There was a little bit of snow on the ground, but I got up there on a Saturday, and Sunday we worked the woods. Got my cousin. He was out blazing a trail with his chainsaw. And we could tell the temperature was dropping.
Okay.
And was it dropping? Mm-hmm. And on Tuesday and Wednesday, the lows were a nice comfy 0.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember that. It was cold on Wednesday. Well, Thursday. Oh, was it the opener?
Opener was Friday.
It would have been Saturday.
Saturday was cold.
Yeah, Saturday was real cold.
But we got out there, and there was snow on the ground. There wasn't a lot, and so we would get these snow squalls. Mm-hmm. We would get snow, and then it would get sun, and like Michigan, right?
Right.
Wait 5 minutes, you get sun. Wait 5 minutes, you get a snow squall. All of a sudden, the clouds would get all gray, and all of a sudden, it'd be snowing. Mm-hmm. And like the picture you see there now, activity for me was just all over the place. I had deers, I had doe, I had bucks, I had wonderful turkeys.
Is this The blind, your new raised platform.
Yes, this is my new raised platform
Okay.
blind.
Is this looking out your front window?
This is looking out my front window.
Okay.
And as you can see back there, there's a ridge back there that I'm kind of peeking at.
Uh-huh.
And that's the ridge we've seen wolves run along.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it got better as the leaves fell off the tree, but that's okay. It's still going to be a great blind for October, which it was. And deer activity was nonstop every day. It was matter of fact, I can't tell you, there might have been an hour or two where I might have not had deer around,
Okay.
but it was pretty constant. And being up there, and then if you go to the next picture there, and you see the deer out there, and you can see we got the bait down, and we've got pumpkins out there. And,
I thought maybe you're doing Thanksgiving early.
well, you know what? It's nice. It's fun to watch them try to eat a pumpkin. Not gonna lie. Some of this is pure entertainment on the human side of watching them try to eat things and how they get. Like in October, I saw a fox eat a sugar beet. Well,
Nice.
This year we got 2 bucks, 2 spikes sparring.
Those are spikes.
Yeah, those were spikes they were in.
That near buck looks a little big.
Yeah, they're. It was kind of fun watching these guys push each other around because they're feeling their oats. But it was like, okay, so when do we get? We had 2 guys on camera that we said, okay, if we see these 2, we're going to go after, and that's kind of what I was after for that week. And then as you see here in this next picture, not only were the deer there, but there was turkeys there.
See, I knew it was Thanksgiving.
Right? And
You even got corn out there.
right? The corn was out there and everything. So they came in. It was kind of fun to watch them interact with deer. And deer didn't like them.
No, deer. In my experience, deer do not, especially young deer, do not like turkeys.
Yeah, and deer, and well, especially when they were coming through the woods, the deer would get really focused on them, and I'd be like, "Oh, here it comes!" And then all of a sudden, you'd see the little black speck. I'm like, "Oh,
It's turkey.
yeah." And then they'd come in, and then they'd go, and they'd have fun, and as you can see, they got along. They would set up their perimeters and figure out whose space was what. So that went on a couple nights. I was still looking for this one buck that I was after, and how this got was it was the 14th, and I typically don't go out on the 14th, but I said, you know what, I'm going out. So I go out there on the 14th, and I'm sitting there, and lo and behold, here comes turkeys. Great. So they come, they go. They come back. They go. Well, the last time they come back, it's getting to be near about 5 o'clock. And I'm like, wow, it's kind of getting late for you guys. You can leave any time and go away because it's getting prime time for my deer.
Yeah, well, they're thinking I'm going to go to bed here near you guys.
Well, lo and behold, to my knowledge, they moved about 15 yards to my left, and all of a sudden, they just started roosting.
Yeah.
And you know how calm and quiet they are.
Right.
Well, there's 24 in this bunch. And I tell you what, I'm watching these deer. I'm listening to these turkeys, and I'm looking, and I got a little video of the turkeys, and I was watching the deer, and finally, I finally said, okay, you guys are at it. I'm just going to sit here. I'm watching the deer, and all of a sudden, I catch these deer that are about 30 yards off to my right, and I'm looking at them, and they're looking behind them, and I'm like, wait a second. And all of a sudden, one comes trotting in, and I look, and I see it, and I can see the rack. And I went, uh-oh. And so I put my binoculars up, and he looked at me. And it was the high, tight 8-point that I was after on my camera.
Okay.
And I said, oh, my gosh, that's him. So I went to go get my crossbow ready. And in about that time, turkeys roosting, deer closest to me freak out, and they all take off.
Everything scatters.
And everything scatters right back for where they came from, and he turned around and went with them.
Okay.
That was the only one I saw. So that was the only shooter that I saw. Otherwise, we saw some 5 points, 6 points, 7 points. That we had this one. This guy here is a 5 point. We had 3 5 points, and 2 of them were opposite. It was kind of fun. So he came in. He'd come in and he would follow does, and the does. And I kid you not, this is how it worked. The does would come in. They would literally pee in front of him, back up, and then he'd be like, "Okay, I'll go check." And all of a sudden, boom, off they ran.
They go get a hotel room?
Well, then, like 2 minutes later, he comes back. I'm like, and they constantly did this to all the bucks.
Really?
Spikes, the 5s, the 4. It was like, "Hey, look at me," and then they'd take off, and then they'd come back. And then the younger does would just not leave, and then they'd go in bed down by me. So I just watch them. They'd sit there. Now a buck, that buck, if he would see them, he'd go over there and bump them, get them to stand up. Mm-hmm. He'd smell their area, and then go back.
So he was checking.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but it's that whole. I have never seen so many does doing what they were doing, and it was funny. It was mind-boggling, but it was funny that they would come in, look at the doe, look at the buck, pee in front of them, back up, wait, and say, "Hey, come on, let's go." And then that one of the 5 points did manage to hook up, and away they went. And a few minutes later, they were back.
Right.
So that was up until the 14th, and it was like that all week long. It was just, I had does, I had younger ones, I had bucks, spikes, and then the one shooter I did see for a split second. So then come gun season, which was on Friday, shooting was very, I don't want to say it was even average. It was a little low. Mm-hmm. Saturday morning, it was a lot much more shooting. So I think a lot of people drove up on Friday, hunted Saturday morning.
Could have been, yeah.
So
I can see that, maybe.
Yep.
Couldn't get out of work.
Right. So we were able to, my cousin took an 8-point. You got a picture of that one. He was able to take that with a rifle up on the river. He shot that at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Middle of the day.
Yep. He said it was following some does, and he glassed it. He thought it was a 6-point at first, and then it finally looked directly at him, and then he could see the brow tines, and then he figured, it's an 8-point, fits the profile.
Do it.
And and that deer is, we figured it out on the plot book, is a half mile from where I was sitting.
Okay.
So it's a half mile up the road on the river.
I gotcha.
Likelihood that deer would ever make it down to our property, maybe not, depending on the rut. But my theory is these bucks really don't have to go far.
Right. Well, it doesn't sound like with all the does that you got.
I mean, it's like the bigger bucks, the one that I did see, he came right back where I thought he was going to come from and went right back. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to do anything.
Right.
There's no the competition is who's going to eat more, and then okay, this doe's here. Mm-hmm. Wait 2 seconds, here's another doe. So, but that was it was a good week. Tuesday and the Tuesday and Wednesday when it was cold. We were out there and it was cold, and but deer movement was good. Snow wasn't light, so it would have been a good tracking snow. We got a little bit more snow, I think Thursday into Friday.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so for deer activity, awesome. I think as far as the hunting in the area, we heard a couple close shots. We're trying to get some feedback as to see if any of the bucks that we let go were taken, and see how those go. So it's just one of those things. But you know what? I got up there. I was up there for a week. I enjoyed myself. It was a blast.
That's what deer camp's supposed to be.
It was, and we had fun. So that's all that matters.
So that's the wrap on 2019 deer.
Yeah, deer camp for me. Yeah, it was a good week. Spent some time up with the cousins, doing what we usually do, and we were kind of split this year. 3 of us were up for early, and then a couple days was going to pass, and then 3 of them were going to be up for the last till the end, till yesterday.
Gotcha.
So we were mostly all together in October.
Okay.
So It was fun.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we go ahead and take, excuse me. Why don't we take a break as I cough in everybody's ear? Sorry about that. And we come back and we'll continue the conversation and let you know what happened up our way.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, we're going to take a quick step outside. We'll be right back after this. So, what we got on the live stream?
Well,
today?
we got Jason and Matt Howard going back and forth, talking to each other. Congratulations, Krishner. He did shoot good this weekend at an indoor tournament. I did see that. Matt Howard says he's just chilling to Jason Pfister.
Ah,
Nothing better than chilling with us.
there you go. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight.
Absolutely.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. Talking deer hunting here in Michigan. Firearm deer season officially over as of sunset yesterday. And I didn't spend a lot of time, so I don't know. This section might be quick. It might be real quick. I spent a lot of time bow hunting this year. More bow hunting than I did rifle hunting, obviously.
Yep.
So I went up north here to Michigan. I didn't go back to haven't been back to Indiana since my bow hunt. But this year, our camp was quiet. I was the only one in camp.
Oh, okay.
For the opening week. One guy's out of state hunting. 2 other people were hunting with family members at different camps just because age was an issue. And, you know, you want to spend that time with family.
Yep.
So it's completely understandable. And
You
2
had that-
others, one was family related, and the other one was work related. So
You had the whole camp to yourself.
yes, I did. And I thought, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. For the most part, it was. We had about 6 inches of snow on the ground, and I took my bike, and the e-bike got me where I needed to go and back. 6 inches is about all you want to handle with that, with the way I had it packed out.
And this year was odd because downstate down here
Got more snow.
got more snow than
Yeah.
you did and I did. Actually, as we went further north, it got less.
Right.
So you had the e-bike with you, and you said 6 inches of snow, and those are pretty wide tires on there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there you
But
go.
I had my backpack strapped onto the front rack and the handlebars, so I was front heavy.
Okay.
It's that might have give some of the issue. That might have been part of some of the issues of just steering and maneuvering.
Right.
It could have been that.
Okay.
Which I fully expect was probably part of it. So, but no, I mean, I got to where I needed to go and got back. I didn't bite it. It was just a little squirrely. So,
Well,
But I
did
mean-
you have a little bit of ice underneath that?
nope.
Oh, okay.
No, made it just fine. I mean, as far as that part, there was no ice, so ice wasn't an issue. That part was clean and green. Just 6 inches of snow on top of the ground.
Nice.
But got out to a blind that we had actually moved. Hunted over a field that I've hunted over many times, but we moved to the opposite side and put it on a platform, which give me a really great vantage point of being able to see in different spots that I've never been able to see before and see further. And got settled in, sat there for about a half hour, and all of a sudden you start to see that light cracking. You start seeing images, and every tree looks like a buck. You know?
Sure does.
So I had the heater rolling just a little bit and got comfortable and got the gun loaded and was ready to rock. And 5 minutes after legal shooting light at the far end of the field, here come a doe just to getting it. I mean, I could tell it was a deer. But it wound up being a doe once I got eyes on her. And right behind her was a buck chasing. And I'm like, when I seen that deer, I knew it was a buck.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And it was a big buck. There was just no doubt about it. So I got the gun up, got in the window, got on him, and they're zigzagging, back and forth across the field. He's chasing nose down, the typical everything, typical buck chasing a doe look. Got that nose down to the ground and hunkered and just getting it. And I'm trying to get on him, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't make the shot. It just the lighting. How fast he was moving. It was probably 150 yards away.
Okay.
Maybe 175. But they didn't hang around long, but I got a real good look at him. And he was either the Matrix or he was another buck that our neighbor showed me a picture of, who I thought was a matrix, but it wound up being a 10-pointer.
Oh, okay.
You know, when I first looked at it, I go, oh, that's matrix buck. And he's like, no. He said, your picture's of an 8. This is a 10. I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, oh, yeah, it is. You know, and his tines were a little taller, so could have been either one. Don't really know. And after that, I saw 35 more deer.
35 more deer. Isn't it good to see deer?
That were does. Until the end of the evening, when I saw 2 more bucks. And it was getting to about the last half hour shooting light, and I'm watching 4 does. You know, I watched them all day long feed through the field, and I'm like, do I take a doe or do I not take a doe? Do I take a doe or do I not take a doe? You know, I got 2 tags to fill, and where we hunt, your combo tag, even though they're buck tags, you can use them as doe tags because we're in the TB zone. So I'm like, yeah, you know, it's opening day. Yeah, you know, but looking back, I kind of wish I'd have dropped the hammer on 2 of them. There's 2 different ones, and I could picked either one. I mean, the old J-neck, big brisket, you know, probably 5.5, 6.5-year-old doe. I mean, they just looked old. And it's like, yeah, I really should have taken one of those out, but I didn't. And then, but like I said, about a half hour for light was over, legal shooting light. I was watching 4 does doing their thing, and all of a sudden, you know, they get that look like, and they're looking. Ears forward, you know, ears are forward, and even the little ones are looking, you know, and like, okay, they haven't bolted, so it's not a coyote. The way they're looking, it's got to be a buck. So got the gun up just in case, you know, and all of a sudden, phew, away they take off. And here comes this spike horn out. And boy, he was king of the field. He was just running around prancing like, yep, this is my spot, and you ladies are in it, and I'm after you.
Right?
So I'm kind of laughing and watching him. And all of a sudden, boom, here comes another big-bodied deer, you know, high rack. And I just saw antlers, and I'm like, whoa, okay. And got the scope up and got on him. And he wasn't outside the ears, so that was first thing that was wrong. But he was real high, kind of like the Indiana deer.
Okay.
You know, he was tall. And he turned and he looked my way one time, no brow tine. He was 6-point.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of sized him up. He was probably a 2.5-year-old buck. And I'm like, 2 more years, you're going to be a dandy.
You're right. You know? Exactly.
And he went out, pushed that spike out of the field, ran him off, and he come back and pranced around a little bit like he was king. And then, boom, turned around, went right back in the same way he went. And that was opening day. No shots.
I was going to say, how was the shooting? Was it?
I heard 3 shots all day, and they were far off. I had one that was somewhat close to me, but it was a neighbor on the east side of us, which we know a couple camps over there, but I had no way of getting in contact with them to see if it was them or not. So, but yeah, only 3 shots. It was, and like I said, 2 of them were like way off.
3 shots. That's it.
Yeah, down there.
Wow.
You know, it was kind of odd.
Now, okay. Did you hear more shots on Saturday morning?
No, I think I heard 1, maybe 2.
Really?
Yeah, and they were far off. Yeah. You know, and you're sitting in a blind, and it's like, okay, which way did it come from? You think it came from a certain direction,
right? Exactly.
And you really don't know. It's hard to tell. You
but
know.
Still, just the fact that you heard only that many shots.
Yeah. And the thing was, it wasn't like I went out in the morning and then went back in for lunch. I sat out all day. I packed all my stuff that I needed for the whole day. I packed snacks, had my thermos 100 blend coffee, and that was the goal, was to stay out in the blind and be in the blind. See, daylight I think was 7 o'clock, or right 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after. I was in the blind by 6 o'clock.
Right.
Both days, and didn't leave until dark. You know.
So you're out there almost 12 hours.
Yep.
And you only heard that much shooting.
Yep.
I wonder what the deer count will be.
Well, and I saw plenty of deer. Deer were moving all day. Like you said, I don't think I went over an hour without seeing deer. You know, there was deer in the field in front of me almost all the time. But I could see into the oak ridges. It wasn't like I was hunting. I mean, I was over top of a food plot, but I was in a transition area, a pinch point, where deer would cross and you come out of the oaks and go back into the swamp. So I really thought that I was going to get a crack. I did have a crack at a big one, but the timing just wasn't right, and they took off up into the oaks.
Right, and that's the thing. And so you think there was, for your area, less pressure of hunters in the woods?
Yes, in our immediate woods, yes. because I was the only one there.
Right.
And we've totally turned our whole deer program upside down, inside out, into deer management and going full bore this year. Stopped all the recreational driving on the property after September 1st. Stopped all the other meaningless driving, period. From that point on through hunting season. I mean, we locked the property down. It was you really had to let people know where you were at and when you were going to be up there to go if you're going to do any driving at all, because we're really strict about that right now.
Right. Exactly.
And I've seen more bucks on trail cams this year than I've ever seen. Sparring, fighting.
Well, you got that video of the one sparring right in the field.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing more does and bucks and everything, more activity.
Yes.
Because of less human activity.
Yeah.
Almost creating a sanctuary.
Yes. Yeah, so to speak.
Nice.
So from that standpoint, yeah, it was great. It was really good. And then second day, it was cold. It was, I think it was 3 degrees when I left.
Yeah, you were whining about it.
It was cold. And I switched blinds. I went and hunted a different blind and just trying to shake it up a little bit, thinking, wind direction played a big role in that of moving. But, I did some critical thinking over the night. It's like, okay, well, where am I going to hunt? Where are they going to be? Where are they coming from? Where's the other pressure going to be from, neighbors and what have you? And I got into the blind, and I mean, it's dark. So I got my headlamp on. It's glowing. I got the red light on.
All right.
And I grab the little barbecue grill lighter.
Oh, yeah.
And I always hit that thing and then turn gas on, because I always got the valve for the head.
Yeah.
Just barely on.
Right.
So all I got to do is crank that, have it struck, turn that, and then hit the thermocouple and light it. For some reason, I didn't do that this time. Don't know why, but I didn't. And I reached over, and when I turned the gas on, and I went to hit the thermocouple and I was going to strike it, the head fell over.
Ooh.
So somewhere in the process of changing tanks out, it didn't get tightened up. And I'm like, oh, man, what am I going to do now? Because it's cold.
Yeah.
Cold. And I had rode the e-bike. I wasn't sweating at that point, but I was warm.
Right.
From getting my backpack off, putting the bike away at the stand, and getting my rifle and my pack up into the stand and getting set up. So I'm like, well, I'm going to have to go to another stand now. And it's going to totally blow the hunt, because I got to take everything back out, make noise, restrap everything back on the bike, get the bike back out, and then take off.
And then get over there, right?
And get over there and get into that blind. So I didn't see a deer that morning for the first 2 hours.
Okay.
And then once we kind of got into the hunt, this is pretty much what I saw. A little button buck for most of the day. I saw 19 deer that day. I saw this guy, and I saw one other spike. And that was really, that was about all I saw. The rest were all does. Matter of fact, here's the little spike. He come whipping through, doing his little thing.
Yes, you didn't have much snow at all.
Like I said, there was, the first day there was about 6 inches on the ground, and then it got warm and it melted a lot. This is the second day.
Okay, yep.
It got cold at night and stayed cold, but the opening day it warmed up enough to where it actually melts them off. And then like you, I had some deer bedded down by me. I got the circle around the doe there. You can see her head sticking out.
They just like to sit down, relax.
Well, this tree right there, that tree that she's behind,
right?
You notice the limbs there still got leaves on them, even though they're faded.
Mm-hmm.
That tree was still loaded.
Some trees will do that. And
it was a white oak. And I had deer in front of me all day long eating acorns off that ground. And, they just bed down, and eventually the other one bedded down too. The other one's still there behind the tree. You see a little bump sticking out.
Yeah, but but hers on the left.
Yeah.
The food source right in front of them.
Yeah.
We're just gonna sit down and nap and wait it out, right?
Yeah, And then I had a couple of these little visitors running around as well. A lot of black squirrels up there. So, but I saw 19 deer that day, and it ended, without any fanfare. And I went back to camp, loaded up, and I had to get back home, and I came back home. But I guess if I'm going to grade my season, Michigan firearm season, no, I'd say maybe a C minus D plus. I did have an opportunity at big buck opening day right at first daylight. Just it didn't materialize.
Right.
But the overall season, I got to say I was probably a B plus A minus. I mean, I hunted out of state. Saw a giant down
Right.
there. Had an encounter with a giant down there. Took and brought a doe home. Saw a lot of deer this year. The Matrix buck. I missed opening weekend of bow season.
Yep.
And Matrix was killed.
Yes, we got word
Last week.
for the last show last week.
Yep, Matrix. He went down, and actually I got a call Friday morning. My dad FaceTimed me, and
He woke you up.
he woke me up, and down in Alabama shot a beautiful 8-point buck that when we're in the break here, I'm going to try to download real quick and get it on so I can show that deer because it's the biggest buck he's killed in years.
Yeah, and Jason Pfister did say that. Nice buck your dad got.
Yeah, so, but yeah, he woke me up. He asked me, he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I was sleeping."
Right?
Not anymore, but I knew when he FaceTimed me, and he said, "Well, can you see me?" And he said, "Hang on a second." When he said, "Hang on a second," I knew he shot something and he was going to flip the phone. But I was surprised, man. It was a
He shot
nice buck.
something worth showing you.
Yeah, it was a beautiful buck.
He's
so.
probably pretty excited.
Yeah, so I tell you what. So let's take our second break. I think Ken is ready to go.
See
as
if
well.
we'll see if we can get a hold of Ken and
Okay.
get him on the show.
All right, so we're going to step outside, take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. For those of you on live stream, we're going to dial Ken up real quick and get him on here, so just bear with us for a minute. And while Danny's doing that, I'm going to try to download this photo that I forgot to.
If you got any questions, Jacob Abrams is on. Jerry Lambert's on.
Our Michigan connection, guys.
Right?
Jacob, how'd you guys do at your camp? I know you're not far from where I was at. How was your season? I've seen you put a lot of time in up there from what I was seeing on Facebook.
Oh, can you pop Ken on?
Oh, yep. There we go. There he is. Hey, what's
There he
going
is.
on? He's in the vehicle.
I'm in the truck tonight.
All right.
Let me switch him.
Yeah, swap them
Can
over.
you guys see me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is your vehicle running?
It is running, yes.
Okay, I was saying, because if you don't, that battery's going to go dead with that light on.
Yeah, nope. It's, I'm doing some driving tonight, and I wanted to
Okay.
do the interview.
Gotcha. All right. Give us a second here. We'll
Sure.
make sure we got everything. Well, I got to plug them in over here on the backside.
Yeah, plug him in.
Kind of not prepared right now.
That's okay.
It's what we do best. Our live audience is seeing us scramble.
That's right. As I knock everything on my desk over here. See if I get that to sit there. Okay. Alrighty.
Jacob Abrams, not too bad. A buddy of his shot a buck that he had missed.
Okay. Let's pull that down to right there. That'll work. And let's try this here. See if I can get this picture downloaded real quick. If I can. And we will get going. Ken, are you actually driving right now?
No, I'm parked.
Oh, good. I was going to say, please,
Yeah, no,
please, please don't do that.
Nope. I am parked and good to go.
Okay.
All right, good deal. We are all excited to hear about your Michigan firearm season. Mike and I have recapped our first two segments of our wonderful season.
I'm excited to talk about it.
Now, that's awesome.
All right. I'm only going to download the one pic of this.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
That's
is
all there is.
No, I'm talking about from my dad's picture.
Yeah, his dad.
Oh, okay.
My
Gotcha.
dad's buck. Yeah. So we'll get.
That was a nice one.
Yeah, I was quite proud of him, man. He did good. I was very happy for him. Very, very happy for him. Okay, give me 1 second here, and we will try to get this picture loaded. There we go. Anything going on the live stream there?
Actually, Charles Byram wants to know if you knew what the weather was like when the day your dad killed that buck.
That's a good question. I honestly,
It was Friday, right?
Friday, yeah, but down there, I honestly don't know. Okay, we got it here. Let me resize. There we go. Okay. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Okay, I tell you what. Let's get going here.
Yep.
Stand by and in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We have got Ken Cicluna on with us. He is in his truck. He's not driving. Everybody just make that known that he is parked safely in a parking lot or side of the road or somewhere.
But not in a ditch.
Not in a ditch. So, but Danny kind of give his take on his 2019 firearm deer season. I give my take on it. We talked a little bit about bow hunting, but we know that you spent some time out in the field and you were hunting a new piece of property this year. So things really changed up for you quite a bit.
Yeah, I think bittersweet is the best term. I know it's cliche. Straight to the point. I have not shot a buck. Hitting the brakes a little bit and because we haven't talked since this happened, but first week in November, I hit an absolute giant buck in the shoulder, and never recovered him. Lost blood and never recovered him. That was a very jagged pill to swallow. I've been hunting this is my 19th season, and I've waited 19 years to ever even see anything like that, and I blew it. And so that was tough. I hunted a few times between then and gun season, and then gun season came around, and the opener was great. I had a good on the lease. I hunted the lease the whole time. I had 5 full days to hunt. I took some time off, stayed home from the UP this year, hunted Washtenaw County, and I was on the ground, and I had opportunity to shoot some does. I could have shot several does that day. Had several different family groups come in all throughout the morning, and I wasn't really doe hunting. Normally in years past, I wouldn't have thought twice about that, but I knew what was out there, and I didn't want to do some kind of track job or disturb the property for a doe. I really wanted to keep everything as pristine as possible out there, and I passed on some does.
Because you'd seen some big bucks, not only the one you shot at, but you had seen a good handful of big bucks on that property, on trail cam.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And then opening night, I got up in the saddle, and I could see both of the north fields. I could see the northwest field and the northeast field perfect. And with that scope, and about 15 does filtered out of into this one field. And I'm like, well, let me just throw the scope up and see one of them's a small buck, or just see, just really get a good count. And as I'm glassing the field with the scope at like 300 yards on the field edge, I hands down seen the biggest buck I ever seen in my life in the wild, for me personally. And he was just a giant. I could tell through the scope he had a big mass at the base. He was just a giant. He was just hanging out. I think he was very content. He had all those does. I think he might have even been with a doe. I'm not sure, but he wasn't chasing. He wasn't being aggressive. He was just grazing and hanging out with all the does. I, of course, was in my saddle. I wanted to make a move on him, but I thought by me climbing down, I might have made a disturbance. And if I would have been on the ground, I might have tried to make a move on that deer. He was that big where I would have been motivated to try to move on him. And so nothing opening night. And again, I kept passing does. And finally, Tuesday, and I didn't post about this because I learned my lesson about posting about failures.
Right.
With that, I'll never post about the missed buck again. I'll tell you that. And I seen it. I took a shot Tuesday, the first Tuesday of gun season. It was a nice, tall, outside the ear. I couldn't tell what it was. It was a nice buck. I should be tagged out right now. And I flat out missed. I hit a tree. I was very that was a very disheartening moment, but it was good because it was a clean miss. There was no doubt about it, and I just choked. It was an easy shot, and since then I've had some close encounters with some does. Now I am trying to shoot some does, but that's pretty much been my season. It's been sweet because I should be tagged out, and I've put myself in position to have 2 really nice bucks on the ground at the processor, and I've blown it. But I do take solace in the fact that, hey, I put myself in that position. I just couldn't close the deal, and yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's very bittersweet.
You know, Ken, you're not supposed to follow my footsteps.
I know, man. It's. Did you miss 2 this year too? I thought it was just the 1.
I missed down in Indiana.
Okay.
We talked about the Indiana trip. I should have been tagged there by the second day.
Oh,
and you know,
a big one too.
Yeah, and I missed the Matrix buck on the opening weekend here in Michigan. So there's one, and I could have shot I don't know how many does.
Yeah.
You know.
So for you, Ken, Friday morning and Saturday morning, what was the shooting like? Was there a lot of shooting here in Southern Michigan, or not?
I thought for sure. Now it had been in years past. It had probably been 5-6 years since I've hunted Southern Michigan opening day, and I thought for sure I was going to hear the sun come up, but I did not. I heard a couple distant gunshots around me opening morning, maybe like one opening night. I only heard a handful of shots really the whole time.
Really?
I was hunting down there, and because I'm pretty sure I've kind of gotten to know the neighbors a little bit. I've really made a point. None of them shoot does. Like they only shoot they're very selective, which is a good thing, I guess. But I wish they would shoot some more does. But they don't shoot small bucks, and they don't shoot does. So if you hear a gunshot, it's a good chance it was at a big one.
Yeah, it's. I wonder. This year they outlawed baiting. The whole southern lower.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people said they weren't going to hunt, they weren't going to buy tags, and I've actually seen a couple stories come out where numbers are down, and I wonder, is that part of this equation? Why? Because I didn't hear any gun. I heard 3 gunshots all day on opener.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough because I don't really buy that. I really just don't buy that many guys stop baiting. To be honest with you.
No, they still sell it.
Yeah, there's everyone's. I'm not everyone. I shouldn't say that because I'm not baiting. I stopped baiting 2 years ago because I knew it was coming.
Right.
And I didn't. That kind of stuff just taints the hunt for me. And but we all know that the majority of guys did not really, truthfully, let's be honest here, did not stop baiting. Yes, I'm sure lots of them did, but I think. In some ways, that probably has something to do with it, but I don't know how much because the gas stations were selling bait like hotcakes.
Well, yeah, that's what I noticed. I noticed at the one gas station here that I pass every morning. As soon as it came out, I watched the pallets get smaller and smaller, and then all of a sudden they get reloaded. And
today, right up here on 23 and Grand Blanc Road, Speedway, they still selling bait there. I pulled up to the gas pump, and there's carrots, and there's beets, and there's corn. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I really think it was disingenuous by some guys out there just really sounding the alarm, talking about everyone's going to quit hunting and this and that. I just didn't buy any of it because I obviously hunted a lot in 2008 when they banned baiting, and I guarantee you, I could take you over to Pinckney State Recreation Area right now. I could probably find 12 bait piles in a couple hours.
Oh yeah, probably could. Yeah.
I mean,
the pallets aren't getting smaller for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not all going to the Upper Peninsula.
Right. Exactly.
Matter of fact, to tell you a story I heard when I was in the UP just across the bridge, a gentleman was picking up sugar beets by the bucketful, and actually he was going back south over the bridge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that tells you something.
So
yeah.
It was the funniest thing. I ended up talking with him. He's like, "Well, they got the best price and blah blah blah." And yep, I'm heading back downstate. And,
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
No, I didn't hear a lot of gunshots. I was really shocked, but I think in my particular area, come to find out after finding out some information, like those guys just don't shoot does and they don't shoot small ones.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I didn't hear a lot of gunshots. So, but my brother-in-law who leases the property with me, he shot his first deer ever at like 38 years old. He just picked up hunting a couple years ago. He started doing it with me, and he shot his first doe opening night, and so that was a real highlight for me. I was so glad to be there with him to help him track it and bring it out, and that was super cool.
That is awesome.
How was the gutting part?
Well, I hope he's not watching, but I go, all right, I go, you want to do this? And he said, yeah, I want to do this. And so he put on his gloves, and I gave him my knives because I got the little gut hook on there, and I kind of got him started. I'm like, all right, start here, do this. And he got down to, it was a doe. He got down to where, the nipples are and all that milk is and everything, and it gets really tough right there. And he was getting frustrated, and he's like, what am I doing wrong? I'm like, do you want me to take over and just kind of show you what to do? And he's like, yeah. So I threw some gloves on, and I really, I kind of showed him. I took my time. I didn't go fast. I just kind of showed him how I did it, and I ended up finishing the job for him. But he's bound and determined the next year he's going to do it 100% on his own. But I think he just needed to see somebody do it, because it's much different than watching a YouTube video versus actually seeing it right there, Because he did his research and everything, but, I could tell he was, like, not intimidated, but I could tell.
It's nerve-wracking, right? It's
the
like,
first time,
you hear all the horror stories, and you've done this, you've done that, you've seen a good job, you hear about this, you do it. Yeah, I can totally get that. And then there you are, knife in hand, looking at this thing, going, "What do I do?" Okay, now.
Yeah.
Well,
which is how I learned, but
Well, all my years that I've been hunting, I've had one deer that was gutted for me, and it wasn't my first one. Actually, it was 2 years ago. We had the kids up from Indiana. Up
that's what David Boggs did.
Yeah, we had our kids up from Indiana. We had some youth out for a youth hunt, doing a doe hunt at our place, and I shot a doe. Actually, that was when I shot 2 does.
Well, that is educational purpose.
It was education. I said, okay, guys. I said, who here hasn't gutted deer before? And a couple raised their hand. I'm like, practice. You're going to gut my deer for me, and that's how they learned. So.
Yep. That's the best way.
Every other one, I've had the fortune of taking care of it myself, plus many other ones along the way.
Hey, are the crops in your area still on the fields?
No. It's surprising that there was no corn around me, like, at all, within a couple miles. It was all soybeans, and they that stuff got cut down in late October, early November, and it's been down for quite a while. The deer are still in those fields every night. Eating the scraps and stuff like that. But they're also on our property every night. But to answer your question, yeah, they're all cut down, but they kind of are. It's really cool on our lease. It's called fallow field, where it hasn't been farmed in like 4 or 5 years. And there's all these tall weeds, but down on the ground, it's nothing but clover. And I finally figured out they're grazing on that clover on the way to these bean fields to eat at night. So
what's happening is you're getting that perfect. You're getting the weedy stuff to protect the clover, and it makes them work for it.
They can't just go and graze it.
Yep. So I'm hoping, late season is going to be great with all that. I mean, it's literally 20, 30 acres of just bright green, luscious clover right now.
What was your weather like on the opening day or two there, down here on the bottom part of the state?
It was cold. There was a good amount of snow on the ground, 5-6 inches of snow on the ground from that snowstorm we had, and it was cold and brisk. And it was perfect conditions. I thought it was great conditions.
Well, okay, so now you've had the opportunity now to hunt this property for most of the season now. I mean, we got muzzleloaders still and late firearm for does. But looking back at hunting up in the UP compared to where you're at, are you glad you stayed downstate? I mean, obviously you had a crack at a couple big ones, but I mean, overall, looking where you used to hunt up north compared to down here. Compare and contrast.
Well, that's a very hard question, because if I had my choice, I would have been in the UP this year. I know that by doing that, I'm probably passing up an opportunity of a lifetime on one of them giants down there. But I also know those same giants exist where I'm at. I mean, true blue, northern giants are there. They're just, you really got to work for them up there. They do get shot up there, so I feel like I have a good opportunity at shooting a deer of a lifetime up there as well. And I really miss the guys. I really miss the camaraderie. Just everything about being at camp. It killed me that I wasn't there, especially, they still included me in the group message that goes around every year at camp, and my buddy Stan was sending me pictures and updates, and they actually shot 2 really nice bucks up there this year. My buddy Stan and Bill, and my brother-in-law shot a nice 6-point. So it was a good year. They shot some bucks, and I missed it. But I mean, the hunting down here is fabulous, though. I mean, it was great. I see deer every time I hunted. I had plenty of opportunity, and the hunting down here is great. But boy, I've really just got that deer camp bug in me, and it just nothing compares to it.
I tell you what, let's go to a break. When we come back, I got a couple of questions about kind of that what you just kind of said about the camp thing. So let's step out and head to our last break.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
And for anybody out on the live show, Ronald Gerchow, how's it going? You got any questions for us? Going to the last segment here, and then we'll be done for another week into December. Man, 24 days to go.
That's right. The big fella shows up.
Right.
I can't wait. I'm still encouraged. I'm still positive. I can't wait to get out for muzzleloader this Saturday morning. And,
is that when it starts? Is this Saturday?
Yes.
This Saturday morning. Yep. I think it might be. Is it Friday or Saturday? But I know it's open Saturday for sure.
Okay, cool. That's the thing. It when we get back into this live segment, I'll I know exactly what you think about camp.
Got me.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Last segment of the show. Sitting here talking 2019 deer season, Michigan wrapped up, all good stuff. The ups, the downs, the misses.
One of the ups, you can throw the picture up, which I don't think you have.
Oh, yeah.
Is of your dad's buck.
Yeah.
Down in Alabama.
Yep.
This buck was shot in Alabama.
Yep. That's the biggest deer he shot in probably, I know, at least 20 years, maybe 25 years. My dad used to be a killing machine when it came to deer, and he used to shoot big bucks, but then he kind of went dry for a while, and this one here, I got a Facebook a FaceTime call on my phone, and he woke me up Friday morning. I was snoozing. He says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I was sleeping, but not anymore. What's going on?" And he says, "Can you see me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "Hang on," and he flips the phone around, and this is what I see.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Big, tall, wide 8-point.
And that's the thing. So, but getting back to you, Ken, about the camp, exactly. I totally get what you mean.
I missed that this year
because we were split up a little bit, but we did have an October camp. But the camaraderie with the cousins, and whoever else, like in October when we had both camps going and we were shuttling back and forth, it was fun.
Yep.
And but what for you, Ken, though, one of the kind of the cool things is your opportunities for a couple of those big bucks actually came before deer season, hunt for rifle season. So that kind of just adds to it, the more opportunities you're getting.
Yeah, I really, that would have been great. If I would have recovered that big one I shot the first week in November, it takes a lot of pressure off. I would have had a tag in my pocket for deer camp, and I had some opportunity before the season, and didn't pan out. But that's the goal, is to go to deer camp with I've always be nice to have some does or something in already ready to go, and it just takes the pressure off going to camp. I know that may sound silly, but it does.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And that's one thing I didn't get to experience camp this year either. I was the only one there, so there's something about deer camp and camaraderie with fellow hunters, whether you're hunting or you're the camp cook, it doesn't matter. I mean, just being around people that love the outdoors, it does something for you.
It really does. I mean, there are guys that come to I go to camp with my father-in-law, my 2 brother-in-laws, a couple guys I go to church with that I see all the time, every week. But there are guys that come to our camp that the only time I see them is at deer camp. and it's like when when you see them, you never missed a beat. You pick up right where you left off.
Yep.
You know, and I always thought that was really cool. You know, and the whole season, it all, you know, the winter and springtime scouting, the spring turkey hunting, the summertime fishing. It's all great. Why? Because it points to deer camp. It all kind of points to deer camp.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I really look forward to it. I cherish that time. You don't see anybody else. I mean, words can't describe it really. I really, really miss it.
It's hard to describe if you haven't done it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until you've done it, then it's like, okay, I get it. But if you've never done it, it's like, well, a bunch of guys and girls, they go, or families go up to this camp and they hunt. Okay, well, I don't get it. Well, if you do it repeatedly, and then, like you said, you had some at your camp this year, go to other camps because of age.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when the
Last hunt's going to be.
last hunt's for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, here today, gone tomorrow. The last year my dad went up, I got a 6-point, and I'll probably remember that for as long as I live, right?
Yeah.
You will. Yeah.
You know, I remember taking Kelly up, or last year was Gabby, got her 8-point bow hunting. It's at camp, you think of these things, and things happen that...
Lifetime of memories.
Yes.
You know? So, I completely understand.
And I bet some of your best memories, Ken, doesn't even have to do about getting a deer.
No, we definitely don't go to the Western Upper Peninsula to shoot deer.
I remember growing up as a kid hunting public land, and the little camps that we had there. A lot of that stuff you can't repeat on this show, but it was good, fun times. You know,
good experiences. I mean, just everything right down to the food. You know, everyone's in the morning making their sandwiches, getting their coffee ready. Where you're going? I'm going here. I'm going there. All that, I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it goes by so fast.
And a few practical jokes along the way.
Oh yeah. There's always something like that.
Okay, I got a question. This is open to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was up there. So a cousin of mine in October, actually after I left, shot one, a 6-point, lost the blood trail. My other cousin found it in the river, half eaten by wolves. What was your when I was up there for gun season? There was a couple mornings they were going crazy. And did you guys hear coyotes? What did you guys hear in your different areas of the state?
Go ahead, Ken.
You know, actually, I did not hear coyotes until the first time, just the other night, at nighttime when I was walking out. I did not hear any coyotes walking in the morning. Nothing, which is weird because I know they're everywhere.
Yeah, most of my coyote encounters were all during bow season. I didn't. I can't remember if it was opening morning or evening. I thought I heard way off. I heard a pack, but it was so faint. It's like, is that a coyote? Is that what I'm hearing? You know. But other than that, I didn't have any encounters. Mine were all during bow season, when I had a couple of them run up on me real close.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. For us, they were north towards where my cousin was hunting, about a half mile away. That's when they were hot and heavy in that area again, and so I know they're in the area. And they were pretty loud, so they were having their good old time.
Right. Before we wrap up the show, Ken, there's something I want to ask you as well. You sent me 3 pictures of this ground blind system that you hunted with this year. Is this the first year you've used this? Isn't this the ghost blind?
It's the ghost blind. No, I've actually been hunting onto that thing for the past 3 seasons. I absolutely love it. It's not foolproof or anything like that, but it's really cool. As you can see, it reflects the surface out in front of you. It absolutely does fool them. I will say this, that if it totally fools the turkeys. They don't know what's going on. But you get an older deer, but like the other night I had a mature doe. If they get within 50 yards and your head's kind of sticking out, if they get within 50, 30 yards, they'll kind of start to pick that thing out just a little bit, just from the top part of it.
Right.
But if you're tucked back in some brush or tucked back into the woods a little bit, they don't see you. They walk right by you. It really allows me to be extremely mobile on the ground, and you can just kind of hunt wherever. And so it just allows me to be very mobile and kind of move around a lot. And like I said, if you get tucked in somewhere, you can get away with it. But if you're right on a field edge and you get an older deer, 50 yards or less, eventually they're gonna pick you off for the most part. You really got to make sure your head is covered. They make extenders that you can put on the top of that, and that helps out a lot too. But I love that thing.
Okay, I just wondered. I've heard of them before. I've seen them, at shows and things, but I've never talked to anybody that's actually used one. So that's
they're great. It's great for turkey hunting. It's great for turkey hunting.
Okay.
What is that? Is that 2 sections, or how many sections is that?
It's a 4-sided panel. Yep.
Yeah, you can see here on the reflective side.
Oh, okay, I see it now. Okay.
Yep. And boy, if you can get tucked into some brush or tucked into the woods a little bit, like that buck I shot and missed during gun season, he was actually chasing a doe, but I just was tucked about 10 yards back into some woods, and I had snipped out just a little bit of branches out of my way, and both of them walked by me at 50, 60 yards, and never. I mean, the wind was in my favor too, but they never knew I was there.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
And Ron Gerchow says he's had one for several years. He has one with the extenders.
Okay.
Yep. I use the extenders too. I just forgot them the other night, and sure enough, my head was sticking out, and that doe busted me because my head was sticking out.
So, hey, what are you doing over there?
So. Yep.
Well, we were in the commercial break. We talked a little bit about you mentioned muzzleloader season. So your season's not over. You plan on going back out this weekend, right?
Yeah. I'm still very positive, very encouraged. There's still a pile of does. I'm doe hunting right now. I'm doe hunting. If I see a buck or if I see another big one, I feel like I can get on him. I'll shift gears. But right now, I'm doe hunting. I'm quote unquote meat hunting. I don't like that term, but I'm doe hunting right now, and I'm on a mission. I got myself a muzzleloader. I got a crossbow now, and I got a 450 Bushmaster for the late doe season, and I'm going to get after it the month of December.
Now, if you take one off the lease, are you going to share that with your neighbors, that information, and let them know you took some doe?
No, I'm not going to tell them anything what I do.
Okay, just wondering if maybe you use that as an opportunity, maybe to try to start a co-op, or just sharing doe information to get them, encourage them to do it.
Maybe once I get to know them a little better, if I get a chance to get to know them a little better.
Right now you're the new kid on the block, so I don't know. We've done that before and promptly told to go back to our own 40, so I know that goes.
Yeah, you know how guys are with deer hunting, and I have found loose lips sink ships in bass fishing and deer hunting, and I try to be very secretive. Obviously I'm on a podcast right now talking about it, but I'm sorry, as far as actually telling those guys what's going on, or even if I shot a big buck, I probably wouldn't even tell them, just because who knows? Until I know who I'm dealing with, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, I seen that experience that you were talking about about a month and a half ago, and or about a month ago actually. It was first week of November, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Mike told me about this, but I must have missed it. That you got promptly berated on social media.
So yeah, and you know where I messed up there, and this is not the guys that run that group, but the deer tracking, the Michigan deer tracking. I had made a post in that group because my head was spinning off my shoulders when I shot that buck. I didn't know what was up or down. I mean, I was excited but scared. And shout out to Gut Check Indicators, because that was so cool to see that bright red blood on that thing versus, like, I could tell right away it was, you know what I mean? I knew
it wasn't gut shot.
It wasn't gut shot, anything like that. And it was just cool to confirm, because my arrow was black, and you can kind of see. But, I had that arrow. I had about 7 inches of penetration. I could see the bright red blood, and I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to mess it. I didn't want to mess it up at all. I wanted to do everything perfect. So I posted on that deer trackers thing. I talked to a few deer trackers, and they all told me the same things, which was cool. But a lot of guys, there's thousands of guys in that group. A lot of guys that I didn't even know. I'm not even Facebook friends with. I got 8 different messages from guys basically passively aggressively telling me, you shouldn't aim for the shoulder. And it's like, I was not aiming for the shoulder. I have a bad habit of trying to tuck my arrow right behind the shoulder. That's where everyone likes to aim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to change that. But I had a lot of guys messaging me, like basically calling me an idiot. And why do you aim for the shoulder? And why do you, mechanical broadheads and blah, blah, blah.
Isn't that amazing? Everybody becomes the perfect shot.
Yeah, there aren't there quarterbacks.
Nobody's ever been in that situation. And Mr. Joe Schmo or Mrs. Jane Schmo. Every deer they've shot has been perfectly tucked away, has been a perfect kill. They ran 30 yards, they dropped over.
Right.
Perfect every time. Right.
Every time, yes.
What would hunting be?
I know. And, I probably, I don't know, looking back, social media is so funny. I like to use it, and it's a good thing, but it's like, I made that post, and I was thinking, man, here I am whining about it, but I just was really thrown back about how many guys, naturally assumed that I aimed for the shoulder. That really threw me back, like, what's wrong with these guys? And then, of course, I took a lot of flack because I, was using a mechanical, and I think I put in a comment that, it was mechanical, it was the dead meats. And, of course, I got jumped on over that, and, it just,
social media is lovely.
It was hard, and I do have thick skin, I do. But that really got, I'm really upset with myself that I let it get to me. I mean, it's not like I even care, okay? I don't care.
It gets to you. It gets to you. Trust me.
It's not like I took it personal, but I was just more aggravated that
we do this to our own people, our own kind.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I don't care whoever these random guys, what they think of me. Honestly, at the end, I do not care. But it was just more aggravating to me.
We eat our own. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? And I am not saying anything bad about anybody. I just want to make that. But these dog trackers and everything like that, I think, and I'm not. I don't know how to say this without being, but I think that should be your last resort. It seems to me, and maybe it's this year that maybe I'm paying attention. That I shot a deer. Hey, call a deer tracker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you go look?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Spend some time afield.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I spent with my daughter's deer, with Gabby's deer, with my cousin, on my hands and knees looking for blood.
Yeah.
Going. Yep. Oh wait. Or going back to the basics, doing circles, looking.
Yep.
And teaching people that are with me. Kelly, Gabby, my cousins, we all working together. Oh, hey, shoot a deer and then call the track and call a service.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the thing to do now. And I think, I hear what you're saying. On the other hand, too, I think that these deer trackers are a wealth of information when it comes to tracking these deer. And it was really comforting, actually. First of all, getting a deer tracker to come out in late October, November, that's like hitting the lottery, okay? Because I found that out firsthand. They are very busy, and they will not waste their time, and they won't waste your time. They do a pretty thorough interview on the phone, and it was just comforting to hear those guys telling me that, that deer's probably alive. But they're like, hey, look, if you did one lung it, the best thing you can do is to go push it right now, because there are some guys saying let it lay, let it lay overnight. But those 3 deer trackers, I don't think knew each other because they're from different areas. They might have, but every single one of them said that if you're lucky, you got one lung, and if you did get one lung, you need to go push that deer right now, because that's the only way you're going to get it to die. And so that was interesting. And then so that kind of made me realize, like, at least a phone consultation could kind of help you do the right thing and not mess up the track job. But I agree. I think obviously it definitely should be a last resort, like, especially if you've got blood. I don't, maybe if you've tracked blood for 200, 300, 400 yards, you can't find it. then call a dog.
You know, and plus, you could attest to this. How many people are in the Western UP?
Not that many.
Right? It's like
There's no dog up there.
it's like you are the dog.
Right, yeah. But I tell you what, I think it's funny you say that. I was just, because our dog is like 17 years old when this thing goes. I'm like, man, it'd be kind of cool to have my own tracking dog and a shed dog. You know, I started thinking have my own little personal tracking dog just for me and my family and friends, you know.
There you go.
There you go.
You know, but overall, that was our seasons wrapped up in a show.
We all had encounters.
Yeah. We had chances. We had encounters. You got a doe.
I'm not done yet either.
Nobody's done yet. We got the month of December here. Do we get an urban hunt around here into January this year?
I don't think so.
I don't think Oakland County's doing one.
So other than that, there you go.
Life is good.
That's our season wrapped up.
Elk hunt in 2 weeks. So
I can't wait for that, Mike.
me either.
I hope you do a lot of updates and vids and do some, because I'm rooting for you and I want to see you bag a big one, man.
Well, it's not going to have antlers, but
Oh, is it a doe tag?
it's a cow tag.
Or a
Yeah,
cow tag,
yeah.
yeah, cow
There's only
tag,
30
okay.
people that drew bull tags, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm one of the 170 who got the cow tag. So
But still, you know what I mean? Man, I would be over the moon to have a cow tag.
I just, getting up and being up there in that time of year, seeing elk number one up close is going to be way cool, and to get a chance to fill the freezer with that much meat and to actually hunt one is going to be pretty cool.
50 degrees and sunny.
It's not going to be that warm. I've already checked the extended forecast.
Yeah, and elk is delicious.
Oh yes,
We will find out, I hope.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, for those of you on the podcast, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll hang out here for a second on the live stream. But don't forget to tune in again next week, 7 o'clock, same time here. If you're on the podcast, come over and check us out on Facebook and see what we're doing live. That way you can see all the photos and videos and things that we're talking about.
Right.
So that'll do it for us this week, folks. We'll be back again next week. Okay, if anybody's on the stream and got questions, fire away real quick. We will hang out a few minutes. And when we get done, Ken, hang on because we want to talk to you.
All righty.
Try not to keep you too long.
Oh, that's fine. I'm in no hurry.
No, don't say that.
Right.
So,
All right, I think we're good.
nobody's got anything going on there? Okay, I'll
Nope.
tell you what, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap up the live stream as well. And I do want to say on the elk hunt, we mentioned elk hunt, I will be using the Buck Baits elk urine cow and estrus. I'm taking this with me. So if you know anybody's heading out west for a late season elk hunt, get a hold of Buck Baits. Use our promo code Up North Journal and save 20% on that buckbaits.com. Just wanted to throw that in there one last time before we wrapped up. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. We'll see y'all again next week. Y'all take care.